Hi everybody, welcome to week 11. We are really cruising towards the finish line here. Let's see. So for this week's discussion board, we're talking about what we learned in My Writing Lab. So if you haven't done the My Writing Lab assignments, then that's a good place to start, and also the chapter reading and quiz as well. But we're supposed to talk about the stages of writing, which are listed in the prompt, and discuss which is the easiest, which is the most difficult for us, and then any tools, tips, and tricks that we can offer each other. So I think that probably for me the easiest is the editing and proofreading, just because the bulk of everything is there. Now you're just fine-tuning it. A tip and trick with that is if you can write your paper and then let it sit for a little bit, even if it's just a couple of hours, and then go back, it's going to be easier than if you just wrote it and try to read through it and tighten up your writing. The reason is because it's so fresh in our mind that we may fill in words that we forgot to put in, or we may say it in our head as we're reading it differently than it's actually written. Whereas if we put a little bit of time distance between us, I mean, a day is the best. I know we can't always do that, but then we're more likely to catch our own mistakes. So I think that's a good tip for editing and proofreading. The most difficult, I think, is probably the drafting, just because it takes time. It's like starting with a blank canvas. Although, you know, if you have a thesis argument decided, like what you're trying to prove and why it's true, then, you know, it's going to be easier because you've kind of got your little steps along the way. So here's my argument, here's why it's right, and then, you know, this paragraph is going to talk about this source that's supporting it. This paragraph is going to talk about this source, and then in the end you're going to summarize your thesis and all of those supporting points again. So it really is like a scaffolding, and you're just building on the pieces. But I think the drafting is, for most of us, probably the thing we put off the most, I guess to say. It's not even sure that it's difficult, but we do put it off because it's the bulk of the writing. So again, if you do have trouble with drafting, spend a little more time in the brainstorming and pre-writing and thesis work. If you have a solid thesis and you have the research done that you need, then you can kind of plug in those pieces to where you want them in the paper. So for paragraph 2, I'm going to talk about this subject. For paragraph 3, I'm going to talk about this source. And then it's easier to actually do the drafting. And then once you've got it all on the page, the organizing step is a little easier because you can see, well, this is really a negative and shouldn't be in the middle of 2 positives. I'll put it in the bottom. So that's what I think. And the tools and tricks is just, you know, if you follow the steps and you're having trouble with one, maybe take a look at the one before it or the one before that and see if utilizing what you did there might help you.